Now that you understand the power of repetition, let's talk about its perfect partner, variation. This is where many teachers get confused. They think variation means changing everything randomly to keep things interesting. But strategic variation is something completely different. Vary, the fourth element of serve, is about making purposeful changes that serve your students' needs, not just your need to feel creative. Here's the difference. Random variation is switching from hip openers to heart openers because you're bored with your sequence. Strategic variation is offering arm binds in your hip openers for students who want more challenge, while keeping the basic pose accessible for everyone else. Random variation is completely changing up your warm-up because you saw something cool on Instagram. Strategic variation is adjusting your warm-up based on the fact that half your students came straight from their desk jobs and need more shoulder mobility. I think of variation like a jazz musician would. They have a standard repertoire, the American Songbook, classics they know inside and out. But depending on the audience, the venue, the time of day, they'll vary the tempo, add different improvisations, emphasize different instruments. The song is recognizable, but it feels fresh and responsive to the moment. Or indulge me in another food analogy, they're my favorites. It's taking a recipe and varying it without changing it wholesale. In your teaching, this might look like keeping your core sequence structure but varying the pace. Maybe Tuesday's class moves slowly and mindfully because your students seem stressed. Thursday's version of the same sequence flows more dynamically because you've got a room full of athletes. Or you might vary the props you offer. Your basic seated forward fold stays the same, but you bring out bolsters for students who need more support, blocks for those who can't reach their feet, and straps for those who want stronger sensation. The key is that your variations should always have intention behind them. Ask yourself, how does this change serve my students? Does this modification make the pose more accessible? Does this addition create an appropriate challenge? Does this adjustment address the energy in the room? I learned this lesson clearly when I was teaching that same sequence to very different populations. The football players needed the intensity dialed up, more challenging variations, longer holds, faster transitions. The coaches wanted them to work. It was spring training and not in season. But when I taught a similar sequence to my evening Yoga for Athletic Balance class, where the population are not 20-year-old running backs, but 50-year-old runners, I varied it by slowing everything down, by adding props for support, by offering gentler alternatives. It's the same foundational structure, but completely different experience because the variation was strategic, not random. Here's what's beautiful about this approach. Your students start to trust your decision-making. They know that when you offer a variation, it's not because you're bored or showing off. It's because you're paying attention to what they need in this moment. This is also where you start developing your teaching intuition. When you have a solid foundation, your repeated structure, you can feel into the room and make adjustments that truly serve. You're not scrambling to fill time or randomly changing things up. You're fine-tuning based on real information. Strategic variation also prevents you from getting stuck in rigid routines while avoiding the chaos of constant reinvention. You're building on what works while staying responsive to your students' evolving needs. But variation without evolution can keep you stuck at the same level forever. That's why the final element of serve, evolve, is about growing into the teacher you're meant to become.